You think you can just walk in here and waste my time? The clatter of plates and muffled chatter filled the dimly lit restaurant, but at that moment, all eyes turned toward a single table in the corner. Sarah, a sharp-tongued waitress with years of frustration built into her tone, stood with arms crossed, tapping her foot impatiently. Her narrowed eyes locked onto the man sitting before her, a seemingly ordinary customer in a worn leather jacket, his hair slightly disheveled, his expression unreadable. He had barely touched his meal. He had barely spoken. And now, as he reached for his pocket, pulling out a battered, old wallet, Sarah's patience snapped. She snatched the wallet from his hands, glanced inside, and scoffed. Seriously? That's it? She tossed it back at him like it was worthless. The room went silent. The man caught it mid-air, his grip effortless, controlled. His deep brown eyes flickered with something quiet, something unreadable. But he said nothing. He simply stood, adjusted his jacket, and without a single word, walked out. Sarah rolled her eyes. Another broke customer. Another waste of time. What she didn't know, what no one in that restaurant realized, was that the man she had just humiliated was Keanu Reeves. And when she walked into work the next day, everything about her world would change. Forever. The next morning, Sarah strutted into the restaurant like she always did, tired but forcing a smirk, ready for another long day of dealing with lousy customers and even worse tips. She pulled her apron over her head, tied it tightly, and grabbed her notepad from the counter. Another day, another round of people who thought they were better than her. "Morning, Sarah," called out Lisa, another waitress, as she refilled the coffee machine. "Heard you had an interesting night." Sarah rolled her eyes, remembering the broke customer from yesterday. "Oh, you mean leather jacket? Yeah, what a joke. Came in acting all mysterious, like he was in some Hollywood movie. Thought I'd feel bad when he couldn't pay." She let out a short laugh. "Not my problem." Lisa hesitated. "You, sure he was broke?" Sarah scoffed. "Did you see that wallet? Looked like it had been through a war. If he had money, he sure wasn't spending it here." She grabbed a tray and turned toward the tables. "People need to learn you don't get anything for free in this world." Lisa didn't argue, but the way she pursed her lips made Sarah pause for half a second. Then, the restaurant doors swung open. In walked Mr. Henderson, the restaurant's owner, a man Sarah had barely seen in months. He was dressed in a sharp suit, his usual grumpy expression replaced by something unreadable. And behind him, a group of men in business attire followed, their gazes sweeping the restaurant like they were evaluating something. Sarah raised an eyebrow. This was unusual. Henderson barely stepped foot in this place unless there was a crisis. "Listen up, everyone." Henderson clapped his hands, calling the entire staff's attention. "We're making some big changes around here." Murmurs broke out among the employees. Sarah crossed her arms, unimpressed. "What, a new menu? Some discount coupons?" "I need all staff to stay put for an announcement," Henderson continued. His voice was oddly enthusiastic, something Sarah had never heard before. But she had tables to serve, and frankly, she didn't have the patience for one of his corporate speeches. She spun on her heels, ready to walk away. Then, the door opened again. And in walked the last person Sarah expected to see. The same man from last night. The one she had tossed a wallet at. The one she had humiliated without a second thought. Sarah's smirk faltered. What was he doing here? He wasn't in his worn leather jacket this time. He was dressed sharp, black blazer, crisp white shirt, a presence that suddenly seemed 10 times larger than before. He wasn't just some quiet customer sitting alone in the corner anymore. He owned the room. The murmurs around the restaurant grew. Some of the staff looked at each other, confused. Others, like Lisa, had a realization flicker across their faces. Sarah, however, didn't react, she refused to. She was never the type to back down. "Oh, so you're back," she said, forcing a smirk. "You here to finally pay your bill?" A few people in the room gasped. Lisa nearly dropped the coffee pot she was holding. The man simply smiled. Not the kind of smile that showed amusement. The kind of smile that said he already knew exactly how this was going to play out. Then, Mr. Henderson cleared his throat. His voice broke through the tension like a hammer. "Sarah," he said slowly, almost like he was warning her. Her eyebrows knitted together. "What?" And then came the words that stopped her cold. "Meet the new owner of this restaurant." Silence. Sarah blinked. Once. Twice. Laughed under her breath. "Wait, what?" She looked back at the man, expecting to see a joke on his face, but his expression didn't change. It finally hit her. The man she had insulted was Keanu Reeves. And he had just bought the place she worked at. The silence in the restaurant stretched like a taut rope, ready to snap. Sarah stood frozen, her smirk evaporating. Her fingers twitched against the notepad in her hand, but she didn't move. Couldn't move. "Excuse me," she finally blurted out, her voice slightly uneven. Henderson sighed and turned to the staff. "Everyone, listen up. Mr. Reeves is now the sole owner of this restaurant. This transition happened overnight, and trust me, it's final." A ripple of stunned whispers spread through the room. Some of the waitstaff exchanged wide-eyed looks. A few customers had started to take out their phones, snapping pictures from their booths. Sarah, however, wasn't buying it. This had to be some kind of joke. She let out a breathy laugh and turned to Keanu, who stood there, calm, unreadable, unbothered. "Right." She crossed her arms. "So, you expect me to believe that some guy who couldn't even pay his bill yesterday just bought this place overnight?" She shook her head, her confidence creeping back in. "Yeah, sure. And I'm the Queen of England." A few nervous chuckles rippled from the staff. Lisa shot Sarah a warning look, but she ignored it. Keanu finally spoke. "I didn't buy it overnight." His voice was even, almost amused. "I've owned this restaurant for about 8 hours now." Sarah narrowed her eyes. "Cute. But you didn't answer the question, how?" Keanu tilted his head slightly. "Because I can." The way he said it, calm, effortless, with an underlying power that sent a shiver down her spine. Sarah opened her mouth to respond, but Henderson spoke first. "Sarah, I suggest you show some respect. You have no idea who you're talking to." Her stomach twisted slightly, but she fought against it. She wasn't going to let some Hollywood guy intimidate her. "I don't care who he is," she shot back. "If this is real, then why the hell would a movie star waste his time buying this dump?" She gestured to the restaurant. "What, did you just wake up this morning and decide to play Rescue the Failing Diner?" Keanu let out a small chuckle, not loud, not mocking, but like he was watching a predictable movie play out in front of him. Then, slowly, he stepped forward. 1 step. 2 steps. Stopping just close enough that Sarah could feel the weight of his presence. "Tell me something, Sarah," he said, his voice quiet yet cutting. "How long have you been working here?" She frowned. "What does that have to do with?" "Just answer." She exhaled sharply. 5 years. He nodded. "And in those 5 years, has anyone ever cared enough to improve this place? To make it better?" Sarah hesitated. "No. Has the owner ever given you a raise? Fair treatment?" Her fingers tightened around the notepad. She hated that he was asking these questions. Hated that he was forcing her to acknowledge the truth. "No." Keanu's eyes didn't waver. "Then why do you stay?" Sarah's breath hitched slightly. Why was he asking her this? She hesitated. "Because I don't have a choice." The words slipped out before she could stop them, and for the first time, she felt something shift. Keanu studied her for a moment, then spoke, soft, but firm. "You always have a choice." The weight of the sentence lingered. The restaurant was dead silent now. Even the customers were watching, holding their breaths. Sarah swallowed. Something about the way he spoke, the way he looked at her, made her stomach twist in a way she didn't like. Because deep down, she knew he was right. But she wasn't about to admit that. So she rolled her eyes, straightened her posture, and forced a smirk. "Look, Mr. Movie Star, I don't know what kind of power trip you're on, but I don't need a lesson on life from you. Keanu simply smiled. Not condescending. Not angry. Just knowing. Then he turned to Henderson. I'll be making some big changes here. Effective immediately. Henderson nodded quickly. Of course, Mr. Reeves. Sarah's pulse picked up. Changes? What kind of changes? And then Keanu said the words that made her heart drop. First order of business. Sarah, you're fired. The restaurant gasped. A few employees actually clapped. Sarah's face drained of color. You, what? You don't respect your customers, Keanu said, his tone still maddeningly calm. You don't respect your staff. And you don't respect the place that's been putting food on your table for 5 years. Her lips parted, but no words came out. She had spent years making other people feel small. And now, for the first time, she was the one standing in shock. The weight of Keanu's words hung in the air like a final verdict. Sarah, you're fired. The restaurant was frozen in shock. No one had ever stood up to Sarah like this. Not the staff. Not the customers. Not even Mr. Henderson, who usually let her attitude slide because she was a tough worker. But now? She was completely powerless. Sarah's mouth opened, but no words came out. The usual sharp comebacks, the biting sarcasm, gone. She looked at Henderson for backup, but the man only rubbed the back of his neck, avoiding her gaze. The staff's reactions were even worse. Lisa? Hiding a smirk. The cook behind the counter? Trying to hold in a chuckle. Even the busboy, who Sarah had snapped at 100 times, was grinning. And then someone clapped. It was one person at first, slow and deliberate. Then another. And another. Until the entire restaurant was applauding. For him. For Keanu. Sarah's face burned with humiliation. She spun toward the customers, people who had eaten here for years, people she had served, but instead of sympathy, all she saw were wide grins, nods of approval, and phones recording every second of her downfall. A couple sitting in the booth near the entrance whispered between themselves. Did she really just get fired by Keanu Reeves? Dude, I'm never deleting this video. Sarah's breathing turned shallow. This wasn't happening. She refused to let it end like this. Straightening her posture, she forced a smirk. Oh, so this is funny to you guys, she snapped at the clapping customers. I work here for 5 years, and the second some celebrity walks in, you're all against me? Keanu didn't need to respond. The crowd already had. Lisa stepped forward, arms crossed. No, Sarah. We were always against you. You just never noticed. A fresh wave of laughter spread through the restaurant. Sarah's stomach twisted. She looked back at Keanu, expecting to see satisfaction on his face. But instead, he just stood there. Calm. Silent. Untouched by the chaos around him. And somehow, that was worse. Because it meant he didn't even see her as a threat. Her hands clenched at her sides. She wasn't about to go down like this. You know what? She scoffed, tossing her apron to the ground. You're all pathetic. I don't need this place. I don't need any of you. She turned to leave. But before she could take a step, Keanu finally spoke. Sarah. His voice was calm. Measured. She hesitated. Half of her wanted to ignore him. The other half was terrified of what he was going to say next. And then, with a slight tilt of his head, he delivered the final blow. You were right about one thing. She frowned, turning back slightly. What? Keanu's expression didn't change. This place is a dump. Sarah's breath hitched. That's why I bought it. To fix it. His voice was even, but there was an underlying weight to his words. Something you never cared enough to do. The audience gasped. Sarah felt like the ground had been pulled from under her. She had spent years treating this place like garbage. Now, she was the only thing being thrown out. And she had no one to blame but herself. The air was thick with tension. All eyes were on Keanu. Sarah stood motionless, her breathing shallow. She had never felt this exposed before. Never been the one on the receiving end of humiliation. Her fingers curled into fists. She had to say something, anything, to regain control. "You think you're so much better than me," she spat, her voice shaking with anger. "Just because you have money?" Keanu didn't flinch. He didn't even blink. Instead, he stepped forward, his movements slow, deliberate. When he spoke, his voice was calm, yet razor-sharp. "Sarah, I'm not better than you because I have money." He let the words settle, let them seep into the air like a slow-building storm. "I'm better than you because I know what respect looks like." A few people in the crowd whispered. Lisa folded her arms, nodding slightly. Sarah had never respected anyone here, not the staff, not the customers, not even herself. Sarah scoffed. "Oh, please. You don't know the first thing about me." Keanu tilted his head. "Don't I?" For the first time, his expression shifted, not anger, not pity, but something deeper. Understanding. 5 years, he repeated, his voice softer now. 5 years working in a place you hate, taking it out on people who had nothing to do with your misery. Sarah's jaw tightened. Keanu's eyes never left hers. It felt like he was seeing right through her. "You tell yourself you have no choice," he continued. "That you're stuck here. That this job is beneath you. And because you hate where you are, you make sure everyone around you feels the same." The restaurant was dead silent. Because everyone knew he was right. Sarah's smirk was gone now. She looked smaller. "I get it," Keanu said, his voice steady. "I've been there. Feeling like the world owes you something. Like life cheated you out of what you really deserved." His gaze hardened. "But let me tell you what I learned." He took one final step forward, his presence commanding the room. "The world doesn't owe you a damn thing." Sarah's throat bobbed. She didn't respond. She couldn't. Keanu continued, his voice now laced with quiet intensity. "You think I bought this place just to fire you?" He shook his head. "No. I bought it because people like you keep places like this from becoming something better." Lisa's lips parted slightly. The words hit deeper than anyone had expected. Keanu's voice softened just a fraction. "You had a choice every single day you walked through these doors. To be kind. To be decent. To treat people like human beings." He let that sink in. "And every single day, you chose not to." Sarah's breath hitched. She looked like she wanted to disappear. Keanu turned slightly, his voice carrying through the restaurant. "But things are going to be different now. This place?" He glanced around. "It's about to become something worth walking into. A place people actually want to be." His gaze flicked back to Sarah one last time. "And that's why there's no room for people like you." A beat of silence. Then. The room erupted. Applause. Cheers. A few people actually stood up. Someone in the back whistled. "Damn," a customer muttered. That was brutal. Sarah couldn't take it anymore. She turned on her heel, snatching her coat from the back counter. "Screw all of you," she hissed, storming toward the exit. As she reached the door, Keanu's voice rang out one last time. "Sarah." She froze. Slowly, she turned. Keanu's expression was unreadable. But his words? Sharp enough to leave a mark. "You were right about one thing." Sarah swallowed hard. "What?" Keanu's lips barely lifted into a smirk. "I did wake up this morning and decide to play Rescue the Failing Diner." The audience burst into laughter. Sarah's face burned as she yanked the door open and stormed out. The second she was gone, Lisa turned to Keanu, shaking her head. "That," she said, "was the most satisfying thing I have ever seen." Keanu chuckled. "Stick around." He glanced at the restaurant around him. "We're just getting started." The internet exploded overnight. The moment Keanu Reeves fired Sarah and delivered his final words, dozens of phones had already captured it. By the time he sat down for his first official meal as the new owner, videos of the incident were already spreading like wildfire. By morning, hashtags were trending worldwide. Small blue diamond hashtag Keanu buys the diner. Small blue diamond hashtag respect goes a long way. Small blue diamond hashtag waitress gets served. Small blue diamond hashtag John Wick mode activated. A TikTok clip of Keanu's mic drop moment. Backhand index pointing right, the world doesn't owe you a damn thing. Backhand index pointing right, this place is about to become something better. Backhand index pointing right, and that's why there's no room for people like you. Had hit 10 million views in less than 12 hours. Comments flooded in. Speech balloon, Keanu is the definition of classy revenge. Speech balloon, she really thought she could clown on Keanu Reeves and walk away. Speech balloon, that I did wake up and decide to play rescue the failing diner line had me howling. Speech balloon, no one deserved to be humbled more than this waitress. News outlets picked up the story within hours. Police car light TMZ, Keanu Reeves just bought a diner after being disrespected, and the internet loves it. Police car light Business Insider, how a rude waitress lost her job, and helped Keanu Reeves go viral. Police car light Variety, Keanu Reeves turns real-life moment into a blockbuster scene, diner shakeup goes viral. Even celebrities joined in. Loudspeaker Ryan Reynolds tweeted, "Never mess with a legend. Keanu, let me know if you need a Deadpool burger on the new menu." Loudspeaker Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson replied, "A man of class, respect, and humility. That's why we love Keanu." Meanwhile, Sarah's social media accounts vanished overnight. Some claimed she had deleted everything. Others suspected she was getting flooded with backlash. Either way, she had officially disappeared from the internet. And Keanu? By the end of the week, the diner had a new name. Stop sign, the humble table, stop sign. A fresh coat of paint. A new sign out front. And a simple message posted at the entrance. Everyone deserves kindness. If you can't give it, this isn't the place for you. And just like that, one simple moment changed everything. A waitress thought she was teaching a broke customer a lesson. Instead, she got a lesson she'd never forget. Keanu didn't just fire her, he showed the world the true power of humility and respect. But here's the real question, what would you have done in Keanu's place? Speech balloon, would you have called her out in the moment? Speech balloon, would you have fired her immediately? Speech balloon, or would you have gone even further? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's see who would have handled it differently. And let's not forget, this isn't just about a rude waitress. How many times have you seen people treat others like they're less than just because they assume they have more power? Maybe it's a boss talking down to an employee. Maybe it's a customer disrespecting a worker. Maybe it's someone in your own life who thinks they're untouchable. But the truth always comes out. Power shifts. Tables turn. And when they do, who do you want to be? Speech balloon, would you rather be remembered for lifting people up, or for looking down on them? Because in the end, people may forget what you said, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. We've got more jaw-dropping stories coming your way. And trust me, you don't want to miss what's next.